This is 5 on your side at 5. Focused on you.
A growing crisis in the Middle East. Tonight, Israel is preparing for a potential ground attack in Gaza, while the number of deaths continues to rise from the Israel-Hamas war. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Kelly Jackson.
And I'm Mike Bush. We've learned at least 27 Americans have died, and Hamas continues to hold hostages. The Palestinian militant group killed more than 1,300 Israelis in a surprise attack that started Saturday, and at least 1,400 have died from Israel's retaliation strikes in Gaza. More than 300,000 are now displaced. Now, the U.S. is working with Egypt and Israel to safely remove 600 Palestinian Americans from Gaza. Today, the U.S. Secretary of State met in person with Israel's Prime Minister and survivors.
I came to Israel bearing a simple message. The United States stands with Israel and with its people. Today, tomorrow, every day.
Israel says it will keep targeting Gaza until the hostages are released. The country is blocking electricity, water, food, and fuel. Several St. Louis families, both visiting and living in Israel, have family members on the front lines protecting the country.
5 on your side's Laura Barcheski spoke with 2 families who had loved ones called up to serve on Saturday. And Laura, these families, I'm sure it's a very emotional time right now.
It really is, Mike and Kelly. This all happened very quickly, and they're trying to do their best to be strong for their loved ones who were called in to serve in the Israel Defense Forces. One woman I spoke with, who's from St. Louis, is in Israel visiting her family, and her family who lives there, and this was supposed to be kind of a relaxing vacation for all of them over the holiday. That all really changed in an instant when her nephew Ron, an IDF soldier who is a medic, was called in to help a triage area where the wounded were being taken. On his way to help evacuate more wounded, his Jeep was hit by an anti-tank missile, tearing off his arm and killing the driver.
They weren't able to evacuate him because they were under very heavy fire. So they had to wait until nightfall, and then a special unit was sent in with night vision goggles, and they were able to evacuate him and to take him to a place where he could be airlifted and brought to Soroka Hospital.
So that's actually where Roan is now. And he actually just woke up from a coma 3 hours ago, asking if he could go back to help. And even more good news, he's expected to make a full recovery. They say the support from people in Israel and even right here in St. Louis has been amazing. And coming up at 6, I'll share more of their story and another family who has 4 children called to serve.
Oh, boy. Thank you, Laura. An Illinois camp counselor was one of the hundreds of people killed at a music festival in Israel. Many young people were gunned down at the festival Saturday. Some of them were even taken hostage. Survivors say Hamas also dropped grenades and shot people point blank. Others tried to drive off, but Hamas militants shot them and burned their cars. Loved ones are meeting in just 1 hour to honor that Illinois camp counselor. She lived in Israel and came to Southern Illinois to work at the camp.
Our Justina Cornell spoke with some of her friends, and she joins us now in studio with their reaction. Justina?
Yeah, so they're reeling from the loss of their 24-year-old friend. I'm told Gilia Dar had a vibrant personality that was unforgettable. They say she truly made this world brighter.
Welcome to Camp Ben Franco!
Jubilation and joy. That's what the Jewish organization Camp Ben Frankel is meant to be. Those same words can also be said about 24-year-old Gilia Dar.
My first summer as the camp director was 2017, and that was the summer that Gili came.
At 17, Adar came to the U.S. as a representative from the Israeli Scouts program.
It brings 15 and 16-year-old Israelis to America to just bring Israel to our Jewish students. She wanted to know what Judaism looked like across the entire world.
As a camp counselor, her light touched many.
She was there with messages of peace and happiness and was a real ray of light.
She loved music and she loved connecting with people.
That's why it wasn't a shock she was at an Israeli music festival recently. After an attack by Hamas, though, the news of her death was earth-shattering.
We got to know her on such a deep level, and we've been in touch ever since. And every time I've gone to Israel, she's one of the people that I message I guess I won't do that anymore.
While grieving the loss, they acknowledge how much she's given them.
She fully believed that life was too valuable and it was worth living.
They believe nothing can dim her light. Her impact will continue to shine.
She was a source of joy and humor, and she was really clever, and she cared. She was someone who wanted to make the world a better place by volunteering and working with kids. And that's about as noble as it comes in my book.
The camp's director said Adar taught songs and dances that became institutions for the camp. He said they continue to do them every summer.
For a link to our stories on the Israel-Hamas war, text the word Israel to 314-425-5355.
A man is charged for shooting a volunteer coach during a kid's football practice. Daryl Clemens is in custody, charged with assault and armed criminal action. Police say he shot Shaquille O'Shea at Sherman Park Tuesday after an argument. O'Shea was taken into the hospital but is expected to survive. There were several dozen kids in the area at the time. None of them were injured. Clemens later turned himself into police.
Prosecutors have charged 26 students following fights at Alton High School. A series of fights broke out at the school back in August. 24 of the students are charged as juveniles, 2 are charged as adults. The teens are between the ages of 14 to 18. Charges range from disorderly conduct to aggravated battery.
Missouri State Auditor Scott Fitzpatrick is investigating issues surrounding the St. Louis City Justice Center. Several incidents have happened at the jail in recent years, including riots, attacks on correctional officers, and inmate deaths. The auditor sent a letter to the mayor's office requesting information. The mayor's office says the city is complying with that request. Fitzpatrick says his office will review the allegations and then make a decision whether to move forward. That could happen in the coming months.
If you're a marijuana user in Missouri, you may have noticed an increase in prices on your latest trip to the dispensary.
It is because of a local tax that at least one dispensary owner believes is illegal. 5 on your side's Holden Kawicki joins us live downtown with the latest on a lawsuit aimed at protecting consumers.
Well, Kelly and Mike, these new taxes just took effect on October 1st, and less than 2 weeks later, they're already the subject of a lawsuit filed in St. Louis County that alleges that those taxes go against the state of Missouri's Constitution. The way the law is currently structured, customers at dispensaries like Feel State and Florissant are required to pay a 3% tax to St. Louis County and an additional 3% tax to the city of Florissant on top of the state marijuana taxes. Robust cannabis owner Tyler Hannigan recently filed suit against the Missouri Department of Revenue and St. Louis County on the grounds that being taxed by both the city and the county goes against the state constitution, and he's asking a judge to clear up the confusion.
I just think that it's a little bit of an oversight, and it's a little bit more of, let's shoot first and we'll ask questions later. I don't think that it was brought into very fairly for us to have that imposed. And, now we have to go this route of trying to defend our customers on our behalf.
Both St. Louis County and the Missouri Department of Revenue declined to comment on this story due to pending litigation. Coming up at 6, you're going to want to hear how much this new tax could cost consumers. Reporting live downtown, Holden Kawicki, 5 on your side.
Still no vote on the next House Speaker. What's taking so long to fill the seats?
United Auto Workers expand their strike, while the union says it's now targeting Ford's largest truck plant.
Plus, Consumer Reports reveals the top 5 things you should never put in your dishwasher.
And we hit 80 again today. And you see the wind in Chesterfield, the trees moving around a little bit and the wind gust to about 30 miles an hour. But rain chances, yeah, they're ramping up for tomorrow. I'll time it out coming up.